All right, everybody, welcome back. We're excited to be here for our Week 9 edition of the 2021 season of the BSB. I am Sean Kaus,
I'm Tony James.
and we are your betting strategy brothers. We are here to give you some strategies, to give you some tips, to help you out. We're teachers by trade, so we're trying to teach, we're trying to help. That's what we do. That's what we love to do. We love doing this week in, week out. It is so fun. I love it. But unfortunately, we cannot guarantee everything, no matter what we say. We are not guaranteeing anything. Wish we could, but we can't. But once again, take our picks, say we're stupid, whatever you want to do. At least we're giving you something, hopefully, to think about.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. This sometimes you have good weeks, sometimes you have bad weeks. We'll talk about our weeks in a little bit, but let's talk about our flavor of the weeks because those picks never go wrong.
I agree. So, what are you drinking?
Well, this week I went away from the beer a little bit. I've got my little Pink Whitney and Blackberry Blue Blay thingy. But I really need a clever name for it. So if anybody has a cool name for this drink, I would be very excited to hear it. It's got pink and purple stuff, and
I literally just came up with two in the pink and one in the stink for the pink and the black.
That is not bad at all. I mean, it is pink and black. So
yeah, that's where I was. Sorry.
Holy smokes.
Sorry.
No, that sounds
sorry.
That might be a really good starting point. Yeah, man, I had a beer earlier tonight, and then now I'm just trying to relax, and I don't want anything heavy right now. So this is really light, and it'll probably make me fall asleep in about 2 hours, which is really good. So that's what we're going with tonight. What about you, Kaus?
So those of you that watch every week faithfully, thank you. And you'll remember that last week I talked about the Coyotes. I'm betting against them every night. I'm not going to win them all, but I'm going to win most, and I'm going to come out ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, you actually texted me before the game and said, I think this is the night they finally win. And I still did my bet against them. But I am still look, I'm a Sabres fan, number one, because I'm still Buffalo born and bred. But I am a Coyotes fan, number two. I root for the Coyotes a lot. And I actually thought you were right. I was with you. Tonight was the night they were going to win. So on my way home, I went and got a Grand Canyon Brewery Kachina Throwback Ale for the Coyotes there. I got the old Coyote hockey.
I love it. I love it so much.
Because I thought they were going to get their first win today. I really did. Even though I still bet against them, I'm still going to bet against them every game. But I really did think they were going to win. So that's the beer I'm drinking. You can see it's a very light beer. And it's a very, very tasty beer. But with anything, we always want to stress, drink responsibly. There is always someone there for you. Do not drink and drive. Do not go that route. There is always Uber, there's Lyft, there's friends, there's everything. So always please drink responsibly. And because of that, we are dedicating this week's show to Tina Tinter and her golden retriever Max. This is dedicated to them. Those are the names that should be famous right now.
Yeah, man, it's like, we have some fun with our flavors, and we joke about consuming here and there, but we're consuming at home, like we're not going anywhere, and so we're already like, this sounds kind of crass, but we're already ahead because we're sitting at home and we're not going anywhere. Like I couldn't even tell you where the keys to my car are right now. So, and it's not because I'm like full on intoxicated, it's because I'm at home. So,
yeah. Well, in we've been together places, and when we do, we either make sure we have a DD or we Uber or Lyft or something like that. Like, it's never an option with us. Like, we've never, gone that route, So, so it is dedicated to them. And like I said, that's who, we should be talking about, Tina Tinter, not the cause of
for
it.
sure.
So,
for sure.
All right. Let's before we get into our picks, let's go. Let's go how we did last week.
Do we have to?
Yeah. Well, and this is one. Last week I used a strategy, and I've used it a couple times in our weeks of putting what I feel like is going to be a guarantee in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it a little bit this week too, but if you put a team in everything that ends up not winning, you're screwed the whole way over. So it's a very big hit or miss there right there. If you miss, you miss bad. If you win bad. So like Cincinnati was in everything for me just about. And I lost everything because they lost.
Yeah.
Who the hell would have thought? I will give a shout out. I don't know who it was. I don't know if you saw this. We didn't talk about it. Guy in New Jersey bet $1,000 that Mike White would have the most passing yards last week. The most passing yards. He went over 400. He did have the most passing yards. Dude won $125,000 for $1,000 bet. He won $125,000. There's a lot of questions and how do you make. Anyway, congratulations to that dude. But he screwed most everybody else by Mike White doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, so I did win my straight bet at Tennessee. That was 20-26. I lost. I was way off on Jacksonville. I thought they would come out strong, and they did not. So I lost 20 there. I lost my parlay because of Cincy. Like I said already, that was $30. Teaser was with Cincy because my tease still had Cincy minus. So and Atlanta also screwed me in there, but that was $30 down. But here's a case where Cincy lost, but I still won my prop bet of Burrow over 1.5 touchdown passes. So that 20 paid me 10, but I lost my Cincy winning the first half by 6.5. Bastards. And that was for 30. My pleaser wasn't even close, and I went down 20 there. So rough week as I go down $94. I bet 170, only got back 76. So this is my first big loss of the year. But hell, if we're 9 weeks in and this is my first big loss, I'm okay with that.
Well, for sure, because you've been going with house money. It's almost like house money, right? And so, you have a bad week, and a lot of people had bad weeks last week. So, it's going to happen, right? And that's why we always stress, bet what you plan to lose. If you win, that's great. But if you're going to bet $100 this week, plan on Monday not having that $100 in your bank account. You have to plan that way.
Agreed. So how'd you do?
Believe it or not, I did worse. So I lost my money line bet on Detroit, lost my money line bet on Jacksonville. I went 3 for 4 on my NCAA parlay, but missed San Diego State, so that was pretty awesome. I missed with Tampa Bay and the Chargers. I missed with Ole Miss and Auburn deciding not to score in the second half. And I lost my teaser because of the Bengals. I did get both of my prop bets with Stafford over 2.5 touchdown passes and Tennessee over 24.5 total points. My pleaser went in the toilet, but I did have the Jets. And so I take some pride.
You did. I gave you a bunch of shit on that, and you absolutely did hit the Jets on that.
Everything else went
good. Yeah, you did hit the Jets. I mean, you didn't hit overall, but you did call that.
So rough one, as I bet 172 and got back 42. So I'm down 130 for the week. But I had built up the bank account a little bit so I can afford to lose that. And now it's a brand new week. And so now we can go for it again.
Correct. And not only have we built it up with house money, we also have budgeted $100 a week for the season for the podcast. So that's already done. So that, like I said, that basically has come out already of our bank accounts, and it's not even there. This is, we've already planned for that. So we're not losing. So, so I started with $1,340, and I did have 20 cents back from an old bet, but I'm just going to kind of nix that for right now. Now I'm down to 1246, but I also get my weekly 100. So I'll be starting the week at 1346. You started with 899. Now I have 769. plus the weekly 100.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're at 869 going into this week. So
yes, we're not doing bad. We're not doing bad at all.
Correct. And if you look at it once again, we've budgeted $900. You're right at you're just under $900, so you haven't really lost that much for the season. I'm up $400. So I'll take both, either one of those. Obviously, I'll take up being up, but even only being down for 9 weeks of gambling, being down what $31. Yeah, absolutely. Sign me up.
Yes, for sure. Yep. And we know that how quickly that can turn, with a little bit more information, a little bit better picking, right?
Yep, I agree. So, all right, this week, straight picks. We're starting with the straight picks. The straight picks are just who's going to win, what you can do. Now, prop bet and a straight pick kind of sometimes can be the same because it's just one action, one team, one leg, however you want to look at it. So my first pick, I'm picking an upset. I'm going Houston, $20 to win 42. I do have another straight pick where I am picking the Rams for 20 on the money line, $25 to win 20. Once again, the money line means no spread, so I'm taking the spread out of there. I don't want to mess with the points. Now, my first one is Houston in the worst game in history. First time 1-7 teams are facing each other. Look, this is the ultimate, unstoppable and unmovable, or however that's saying. This is it. So, first of all, let's say the fact that it's not supposed to rain on Sunday in Miami, but it's raining now. It's raining all day tomorrow, and that field is going to be nasty. So let's start there, even if it doesn't rain on Sunday. Then let's go to the fact that Miami is 30th in yards per game and last in yards allowed, and Houston is 31st in yards per game and 30th in yards allowed. But just horrible, horrible, horrible. Now, this is why I'm taking Houston. 2 reasons. A, Miami's failed to cover 5 straight games. Failed to cover the spread. Secondly, Tyrod's back. And I'm not saying Tyrod is, oh my God, it's Tyrod. I mean, he's a former Bill. That's why you love. No, that's not why. What I'm saying is when you get your starting quarterback back, no matter how bad he is, when you've had the bad run with Davis Mills that you have had, when you get a starting quarterback, that's a shot in the arm. Miami is terrible.
Bad.
Now, yeah. And so is Houston. I'm not arguing that. But Houston wasn't – I mean, they had a win with Tyrod. And then all of a sudden they go down. Tyrod goes down, and they haven't won since then. I don't think that's any kind of coincidence. So I think Tyrod can come back. Tyrod is something I can't find the notes. But he's like 7-1 against Miami or something crazy like that. He's great against Miami. So I'm going with Tyrod there. Now, my strategy here is that's an underdog that I'm not sure that's going to win. I think it's going to win, but it's once again, it's an underdog. So you're always taking a chance there. So I'm taking the Rams on the other one. And if you'll notice, it's 25 to win 20. So that Rams bet is covering my Houston bet. And I think the Rams are going to run all over Tennessee because A, the Rams just got Von Miller. So now you have a team that is number 1 in sacks, adding another pass rusher, sack leader, and now they're going to have right now Tennessee has 25 sacks as a team. The Rams have 25 sacks as a team. Tennessee has allowed 24 sacks all year. So, they're going to run all over. They know they don't have a running game. AP is even playing, and then the guy, I forgot his name now, the backup to Henry, he's not great. He's got 7 rushing attempts this year. So their rushing game is out the window, which is fine. I'm not saying Tannehill can't do it with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, but their game was built around that run first. And now that run first is gone, teams know that. And then you have a team that in the Rams is going to sack the shit out of them, knowing they don't have to worry about the run. And so I think they're going to totally stomp them because of that. And so that's why I'm taking the Rams 25.
Yeah, I mean, 20. It's going to be an interesting game to watch for sure, just to see how Tennessee reacts with the loss of Henry. Are they and what happens? What that means for their running attack? are they going to go one dimensional or more passing? And what does that mean if you have a not 100% Julio Jones? How does that affect it? How does that affect your game plan? So I agree with you. I think the Rams come out and win this game, although I do have a couple of notes about Tennessee later on.
Well, Tennessee also has the worst passing D when you're talking about yards per game. And the Rams have the most passing yards per game. So we talked more about how Tennessee is not going to do on offense, but on defense, passing wise, they're not great. And Rams are one of the best in pass per game. So that's another one on the side of that.
For sure, for sure. Well, let's go to my straight picks. I took a couple as well. I'm going with the Raiders on the money line at the Giants. That $20 will win me 11. They are the favorite team. They are the better team. They should win this game outright. It shouldn't. I'm not going to say it shouldn't be close. I mean, obviously, the Raiders have a lot of adversity going into this week. It just seems like it's just one of those seasons where it just hasn't stopped for them. And so, but I look at their coach Rich, and I look at Derek Carr's leadership, and I really think they come out and win this game. It may not. They're favored by 3.5. It may be a kick that wins it at the end, so they may not cover the whole 3.5 there. But I do expect them to win this game. I also went to the college ranks for my other straight pick. I'm taking Army and Air Force under 37.5 points tomorrow. I love this game for a number of reasons. Number one, it starts at 8:30 in the morning, which is fantastic, which means I'm going to get a full 14 hours of college football tomorrow. But more so, this game has gone under 9 of the last 10 years that they are 9 of the last 10 times that they played, and 6 of the last 7 it went under by a lot. Last year it was 10-7, and the total was the over under was 37.5. Now a little bit different last year. Last year the game was in New York. It was cold, and the teams just like went up and down the field but couldn't score. This year the game's indoors. They're playing in Texas. But I still expect more of the same. I expect just two teams are just going to run the ball the entire day. The clock's going to move, so that shortens the game. Not many possessions. And, you hold a team that runs the option, you hold them to field goal attempts. I mean, that's really good for unders. So those are my straight picks. I got Vegas on Sunday, and I've got Army Air Force under tomorrow.
And okay, so the Vegas one I love because I love for two reasons. First of all, the Giants are 5-16 against the spread as a home underdog since 2018. So they're not good as a home underdog. And second of all, no Barkley. If Barkley was there, I would say, I don't know, but the spread is only 3. So if they're 5-16 against the spread, I don't see them winning this by 1 or by a field goal. Like it's going to be a point game, 2-point game if the Giants were to come out, but I don't think it will. I think look, it's going to weigh heavy on their heads, and I don't care who you are. We were talking about this before. If one of us did it, the other one, no matter what, would weigh on our head. Obviously, we wouldn't agree with the other one. We'd be pissed at the other one. So, like, that's going to weigh on their head, but I really think they can use it as another catalyst. They're coming out of the bye, which I think even more so now helps them because they had time to rest and do their thing. Now they can just focus. Like, even though this is weighing on them, it's not like shit, it's another week. No, you just had a week off. So that's good. The Army Air Force, the under. I'd never like going under that low in college games. They're way too under.
Neither.
And that's not like you either to go under. And I understand what you're saying. And your points are valid. And I'm not arguing your points. That's literally 5 touchdowns and a field goal and you lose.
Yep, for sure.
Three by one and 2 and a field goal by the other and you lose. So like in a college game, if this were NFL, okay, college game, man, that just and let's take away anything I know about either one of the teams and anything like that. It just that number scares me.
Yeah, I mean it's like you said, for college, it's a very, very low number. Um, the under is 11-1 in the last 12 games for Air Force after a bye. They're coming off their bye last week. Um, the under is 14-3 for Air Force the last 17 times they've been a favorite. Um, this game just screams under. And you know what it reminds me of, Kaus, is a few weeks ago, when Arizona played San Francisco in the NFL, I went under on that just based on the trend. I think it was 20 out of the last 26 when it had gone under.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at something where, I'm taking the information that I'm looking at and I'm going, this keeps going under. I'm going to take my chances to go under again. If it goes over, I messed it up and maybe the next one goes under. So it's a lot of that right now with this Army Air Force game. I'm looking at the trends and just going, you know what, this just screams under for some reason. And you know what, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, and like I said, all that data screams it, and I agree with you. And I would probably take it. It's just, man,
it's super low.
Sometimes I'm just too pansy too. All right, let's get into our parlays. Now, parlay is when you put more than one team or leg together. So a lot of times people say, I got a 3-team parlay. Well, what are your teams? Well, one of them might be an over. It's not, when they say teams, it's just bet, basically. And you put them together to increase your odds. Okay. And it's a good strategy to do, especially when you want to pick all the favorites and you don't want to mess with the spreads. And like Buffalo this week is minus 1,000, 1,050 actually. So you would have to put $1,000, $1,050 down to win $100. And I think, like, I was playing with the numbers, and I think I put like 40 in, and it was like $2 I was winning or something stupid like that. I'm like, yeah, that's a little. So I put them in a parlay to get something for my money because I think they're going to win. I think they're going to smoke Jacksonville. So I put them in a parlay. So my parlay is Dallas on the money line, Minnesota +6, Buffalo on the money line, New England on the money line. My $30 is going to win me 86. Okay. So on Dallas, look, Dak's back. Plain and simple, Dak's back. Denver's defense has only been allowing 17.1 points per game, but Von Miller's gone. And he's got 4.5 sacks in there. And even when he's not there, he's a presence. When he is there, when he's not performing, he's still a presence. Dallas has been a scoring machine, 35 points in 8 straight home games. Like, they're on fire. Dak only has one game with less than 3 touchdown passes. I'll be honest with you. I picked Joe Burrow as a comeback player of the year. I put a bet out on him at the beginning of the year, and I never really want anybody to get hurt, so it's kind of a joke. But there's part of me like, yeah, Dak, stay hurt so I can win that Joe Burrow game, because obviously he's gonna come back and do it. Dallas, they're doing 454 yards per game. They're just running up numbers all over the place. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, he's 18-3 against the spread in his career as a road underdog. 7-1 against the spread as when he's been a touchdown or more underdog. But that's against the spread. Even if the Denver keeps it close, they won't win. It'll be maybe by a field goal, but I don't think that's going to happen. In the Minnesota game, Minnesota they're not getting blown out of games. No. Like every game, they're not getting blown out of games. So when you give me a spread of 6 points, I could see this going, a field goal game. All 3 of Minnesota's road games have been over, which means they both have to score. Okay. It's not like just Baltimore is going to score on that. when I look at some trends, it's Baltimore is third rushing in the game. Um, third in rush yards per game, and first in rush yards before contact.
Mhm.
But a lot of that is Lamar. Like, and not all of it is, but a lot of that is Lamar. And I think Minnesota has the line to be able to stop Lamar. And more so when you look at Baltimore's defense and what happened to them last week against, you know, Chase, or not Chase. Last time they had a bye week last week. So when they did play Cincy last time,
Mhm.
what Chase did to them, he tore him up, and now you got Thielen and Jefferson. And we've kind of bagged on Kirk Cousins, but when you look statistically wise, he's not. I mean, he's like number one in completion percentage, or in the top five in yards and all this stuff. Like he's fourth in TDs with 11. Like, he's not a slouch, and he can
Nope.
do it. So he can keep this close. I really don't think they win, but I think it's a field goal game where hey, Minnesota +6, I win. Buffalo's going to run all over Jacksonville. Once again, it's raining down there, but Buffalo's proven time and time again that doesn't stop them.
Mhm.
When Allen's had 6 straight games with at least 2 touchdown passes. When you look at Teddy Bridgewater, Tua, Tyrod, all through for over 300 yards against Jacksonville. Just think of what Josh Allen now the front runner for the MVP. Just think about what they're going to do to him. And Buffalo's still got a top defense, and T-Law's thrown 4 interceptions when pressured, and Buffalo has the 4th highest pressuring rate in the NFL. So they're just going to run all over them. Buffalo's covered by an average of 9.6 points per game, which is the best in the NFL, and Jacksonville's lost by 7.4 after the spread, which is the second worst in the NFL. So Buffalo's going to run all over them, but I am taking them on the money line. Why bother with points if I don't need to? And then New England's starting to scare me just because they're Buffalo's division. I don't want New England to be good again, but Jones is legit. Plus, Carolina's probably going PJ Walker because Darnold's in concussion protocol, which might be good for Carolina. But it is a different quarterback. They might not have everything in sync. It's Gilmore's first game against New England since he's left New England. So I truly think that New England's just going to roll in this one.
It just seems like you said, New England's starting to get things together. I thought that win last week against the Chargers was huge for them. And it was more so the way that they did it at the end, right? With defense and just I was very impressed. I'm not a New England guy, man, but I was impressed by the way that they played in that last period.
And it's easier to like them now that Brady's gone and they're not winning. Like, I hate New England because of Brady, but now that they're winning, I'm like, man, I'm watching their game. I'm like, man, I kind of like New England a little bit. And it hurts me to say as a Bills fan, but it's not Brady, so it makes it all right.
Yeah, I still don't like him. Sorry. I
don't like them. I hate them less without Brady.
Okay, that I could get behind. I no, not after 2001. I can't do it. I still can't do it.
Tuck rule. I'm sorry, brother.
That's
all right. What's your parlay?
I'm back on the Chargers again and the Cincinnati Bengals, both on the money line. My $30 to win 63. Chargers fly out to Philly to play the Eagles. This just comes down to the travel part scares me a little bit, but it is an afternoon kick. It's a 1:00 start, so that's good for the Chargers. I think they're the better team. I don't think Philadelphia has. I think Philadelphia is getting better. They're taking positive steps. They're not the better team here. The Chargers should take care of business. Plus, the Chargers have that sour taste in their mouth after losing to the Patriots last week. So I really like the Chargers this week, and I like Cincinnati over Cleveland. Once again, Cincinnati coming off a bad loss to the Jets. a game that they probably should have won. So, and now we're starting to get to that back half of the season, right, where the standings are starting to take a little bit more importance. The Chargers, since they were in first place, I don't think they've won a game, and 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 Cincinnati's now, them and the Ravens, man, they're trying to separate themselves. Every team in there, I believe, is 500 or above, even Cleveland. So, the teams need to start separating themselves, and this is an opportunity for Cincinnati to beat their in-state rival and separate from Pittsburgh and Cleveland in that division, because I think we both look at it and we know that it's a division to be won by Cincinnati or Baltimore at this point, and all they need to do is just put it together.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to take those. I'm going to take those favorites, and hopefully we get a good result here.
So when you say favorites, Chargers are only favored by 1.5. I understand they're on the road. It's in Philly, but that's a small line. Now, the key to that game here is last week Philly ran for 236 yards and 4 touchdowns and 46 carries. Philly executed the run game last week. Hurts has had 12 straight games with 30 or more rushing yards. 12 straight games with 30 or more rushing yards. Obviously dating back to last year. But if the key to the Chargers winning this game is if they can stop the run right away, get Herbert on the field, get him a touchdown, get him comfortable, they now have the lead. Once they have the lead, Philly can't run anymore. They have to pass, and now you're putting on Hurts. And once again, we've said on this show before that we like Hurts, but he's basically a rookie. Not truly, but basically, and he's still making rookie mistakes. So if the Chargers can force them to have Hurts beat them in the air, they'll win that all day long. And I think they know that, and I think they'll do that. Same type of thing I see with Cincy Cleveland. When you look at Cleveland, the number one rushing team in the league, but Cincy has a top 5 rushing D. So now you say, okay, can I take a an injured Baker Mayfield-led air offense or a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase offense? I take Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase all day long in that. So Burrow's had 3 state games with 3 touchdown passes. Cleveland's allowed 17 passing touchdown passes. They're third most in the NFL. Burrow had three touchdown passes against Cleveland last year. So each time they played. So Cleveland's 0-7 against the spread, and 0-3 on the road against the spread. So and they're plus money here. So plus points here. So I like this pick overall. I mean, like I said, if the Chargers can get out ahead, this is a great pick.
100%. I agree with you exactly like that. We saw the Raiders they got ahead of Philadelphia and the game was over. Like, it was just over. They couldn't get anything going after that. I mean, they were without their starting running back, but they couldn't get going. They made it close, but a couple backdoor touchdowns. But you get out to a 14-point lead on Philadelphia, it's pretty much done.
I agree. All right, let's move on to our teasers. Now remember, a teaser, what that does, it's all spreads, it's all points. You can't do money line, and you have to do at least 2 legs, 2 teams. And what it does is it gives you more points. So you're adding 6 points to yourself, making the odds better in your favor to win. But when you do that, you get less odds on your money. So you're doing it to basically guarantee yourself a win, even though you're not going to get as much money. So I am actually, even though I swore off college, I am going back to college. I can't stay away. And look, there's a reason I'm doing this. This year's first Final Four came out. You had Cincy, you had Oklahoma. Ohio State I really don't consider a snub because they're in that mix, but they're easy to see why they're not closer. Like, I don't see why Cincinnati's not higher than Ohio State in that poll. I don't see why Wake Forest is higher than they are. And I don't see why Oklahoma's not higher than they are. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if Oklahoma were playing this week, I would take Oklahoma, but they're not even playing this week. So I'm taking the other two that got snubs because I think they're ready to just kill somebody after getting snubbed. And granted, this isn't the final pick. This is just the first week, but they want to prove they should be there. So Wake Forest is an undefeated team. I'm taking them plus 8.5. Cincy, another undefeated team, minus 16.5. My 22 is going to give me 20.
I love the Wake Forest pick this week. I think
I don't understand how they're not favorites against a terrible North Carolina team.
and I
I
think
understand it's there. I get that.
Mhm.
But past that, I don't get it.
You know, I'm looking at this, and I think it just comes down to that North Carolina is just a scoring machine. And I think I think the idea is, can Wake Forest score with them? Well, we saw Wake Forest score, I want to say it was last week or the week before. They put up a ton of points. They put up, I believe, 60. And so I don't see why they can't hang with North Carolina. I'm going to talk about this game in a little bit as well. But yeah, I think those two are solid. I think Cincinnati's pissed. They've got an axe to grind here. Yeah, I was gonna say what I was gonna say was I'm kind of concerned with when they were ranked number 2 before. I'm wondering if that might have been a little high. But being left out of the Final Four, I think, is an injustice right now for Cincinnati. Now, if for some reason they blow it this week or next week, then yes, move them to the bottom of the list. But for right now, I think every argument is in place for them to be in the top 4.
I agree, and them not getting in is. And look, I understand it's hard to make that Final Four list. I'm not saying that's an easy job, but either way, these teams are pissed. And I tried to actually do them in a pleaser, which we're going to do later, but it wouldn't let me. And sometimes they won't let you. I would have done the other way because I think these teams are just going to come out pissed and roll.
Just pound.
So since I couldn't do that, I said, I'll go the other way with it. Since I couldn't please them, I'll tease them. And that was literally my strategy there, putting them in a pleaser. But I would take them in a parlay. Cincinnati does not have a money line, so you would have to take them with points.
Mm-hmm.
But I would take them that way too. All right, then I have a NFL teaser.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'm taking Cincy plus 5. I'm taking the Patriots, Carolina under 47, Houston plus 11.5, the Chargers, Philly under 55.5, and Pittsburgh minus a half a point. My $30 is going to win me 126. Now, This is kind of my home run pleasers are always home runs, but this teaser is kind of my home run for the pick. We already talked about Cincinnati. I'll take them in the air game all day long. My New England, Carolina under. New England has gone over in 4 consecutive games, but it's at Carolina. The weather, that rainy front could be moving up the east, so I'm taking a chance right now that rain is going to move up to North Carolina. And I just don't see Carolina putting up a lot of points, especially if Darnold's there. That's more so where I'm at. When you look at New England, they're winning games with what they need to. They're not blowing out team for the most part. They did obviously have blowout, but they're not blowing out teams. So if you have Carolina not scoring, I don't think New England's going to score 40 themselves. And I don't think New England's going to win 40-0. Like, I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be a close game. There's going to be a lot of running in it. So I think it's going to go under. Houston, I think, is going to win outright. So why not take them plus 11.5? The Chargers, Philly, same kind of thing. Like I said, last week, Philly tried to run the ball. They tried to run the ball all over the place. If they can't run the ball, then they're going to go to the air game, and that means less points for them. 55.5 is a lot of points, so I don't think that's going to happen. And all 3 road games for the Rams, or not the Rams, wrong LA team. All 3 road games for the Chargers have gone under this year. So I'm sticking with that trend of taking the under because of those 2 things. And then Pittsburgh minus a half. I think Ben's starting to figure it out a little bit that he needs to ground and pound, but I think this is more of Chicago being 1-5 against the spread. as underdogs in the past 3 games. You got Fields. He's in 5 of his last 7 games, he's thrown an interception. Pittsburgh doesn't have any interceptions this year, and they're still winning games. So I think this is Pittsburgh finally gets their interception. When they win the turnover battle, they're going to win all day long.
Yeah, that looks solid all the way around. The North Carolina, holy smokes, the New England Carolina pick is very interesting. But you're right. I like your strategy there of bumping it up and taking the under, especially. We're getting into November and December. We're getting into those goofy weather months, in especially for teams in like Chicago and Buffalo and Green Bay and Pittsburgh. But what sometimes we don't think about is that the weather gets kind of adverse down there in Florida and in the South. I mean, we have 2 teams in Atlanta and New Orleans who play indoors, but other than that, most everybody down there plays outdoors. So, even if it rains, that has a huge impact because you can't throw the ball as well. You can't hold on to it as well.
From what I remember playing football in my high school days, is like it was easier to play in freezing and snow than it was in rain, as far as ball control, line control, like all that stuff. It's easier to do in freezing and in snow than it is in rain. Rain's harder to play in. So
for sure. I love it all the way around.
You got 3 teasers going on. Look at this.
I do. I'm kind of a nut this week with the teasers.
Oh, but well, you started with a homer.
I totally did. I totally did this. I took Nevada minus 4.5 and over 49. Now that $20 is not going to win me very much. It's going to win me 18, but it's more so of one of those things where look, Nevada is San Jose State's taking a step back. They're playing their backup quarterback. They lost their biggest offensive weapon from last year. They're taking a huge step back, and although San Jose State, for some reason, gives this team fits, Nevada should just roll right through them. And I also took the over 49. I teased it down from 55. I expect Carson Strong to throw for 4 touchdowns again. And I expect this running game somehow to get going. I can't understand how this team cannot run the ball. They ran it good against Boise, and ever since then they couldn't do it to save their lives. But I think it happens now. Now, even if it doesn't, right? 28-24 still wins the over.
Correct. So that's exactly what I was going to say.
So if this game turns into, now the challenge with that is I also have them giving up 4.5. So maybe if it's 28-23, that'd probably be a little bit better. But yeah, that 20 is going to win me back $18, and that's a complete homer pick for sure.
I agree, and I like it. Nevada's the better team, and I would say I would go a little further. Even if he gets 4 touchdowns, I still think they at least go to field goal, so they're going to get 31. So that allows you some room on your 4.5 and still get SJSU to get you some points. So I like it. Even though it is a homer pick.
It totally is. I'm not going to lie about that. My other teaser in college is we go back to the Wake Forest game. I tease the over down. It's at 77. I tease it down to 71, and I'm taking the over. And 71 is a huge number of points. But the over is 5-1 in Wake Forest's last 6 road games, which was very interesting. And it's also 4-1 in North Carolina's last 5 games following an against the spread loss. The weather could be a factor, but these teams love to just put the scoreboard into just delirium.
Well, 71 puts it like 40-31, and I don't see that out of either team's hands. Like I don't, and I'm not saying whoever wins. I think Wake wins, but I don't put that out of either one of the reaches. So yeah, I think when you say 71 or even 77, you're like shit. You're like 20 away from 100. That's crazy. But when you look
Yeah,
at the teams and you look at what they've been scoring, like Wake Forest is close to averaging 40 points a game.
for sure.
UNC is close to the same. So it's like when you look at that, it doesn't sound that unrealistic.
No, not at all. It almost has that Ole Miss feeling in this game, like except for last week. But you know, this game should go over 71. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's if one of these teams has 35 points at halftime, to be honest with you. I also took Boise State plus 10.5. Now that's kind of a combo. Like I really want that to happen, but also that Boise State is really good as a road underdog. They're 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 as a road underdog, 9-2 in their last 11, and 4-0 in their last 4 road games. So what I did is I bumped that up so I can get 10.5 points and make my odds a little bit better there. And I'm also taking Hawaii plus 13 against San Diego State. Hawaii's already beat Fresno on the island this year. The Rainbow Warriors, which is one of the best names, by the way. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games as a home underdog. Why don't I take that 7, bump it up to 13, and give myself almost 2 touchdowns of space there? That $20 will win me 32. The only downside to this card is the first game, the Wake Forest game, starts at 9 a.m. The Hawaii game starts at 8 p.m. So that's one of those cards that I have to stick
It's a
through
lot
the
of
entire
drinking.
day. Oh my goodness gracious! I'm going to be on the
So
floor.
I love this pick because we've talked on the show how Hawaii does traveling places and not doing well traveling. Well, it's the same on the reverse. Like when you have to travel to Hawaii, it's not easy.
Nope.
So even though SDSU might be a better team, I don't think they're a 2-touchdown better team, and especially traveling there, I definitely don't think they are.
Well, and the one thing about San Diego State this year is they're building a new football stadium in San Diego, so they're essentially playing all road games this year. Yeah, they have like a home. They're playing where the Chargers played the last few years before they moved into their stadium, that soccer field. But they're essentially playing 12 road games. By the time you get to week 8, week 9, that's going to wear on you. Even
Yeah,
if
and then you got to go to Hawaii.
yeah, now it's a 5-hour plane ride. Yeah. Do I think San Diego State wins this game? Yes. Do I think they win by 13? No. Then on Sunday, I went with one of your strategies this time. Usually I like to keep my AM games and my PM games separately. And this time I said, hell with it. Let's do it all. Let's try and hit a home run. I took Buffalo minus 8.5. They should roll Jacksonville. Took Baltimore as a pick against Minnesota. That way they don't have to win by 6. You win by 1 with that field goal at the end because Minnesota hasn't been getting blown out. Then we both win. Taking Dallas.
That'll be what, the third time Minnesota's lost that way too?
Yep, because Cincinnati, right? And I can't remember the last one.
Arizona.
That's right, Arizona. Taking Dallas because I don't trust whoever Denver throws out there at quarterback. I went along with you with Carolina and New England. I also took Arizona, San Francisco under. I teased that up to 50.5. That's gone under 21 of the last 27 times. Let's go for 22 out of 28. Kansas City minus 1.5 against Green Bay, and Tennessee and the Rams over 47. The only one that kind of is like a little bit scary for me is that Tennessee game. I'm very interested to see what they do with their offense. I have a feeling this can go one of two ways. Either this game gets either Tennessee is just going to start throwing the ball because they can't run it, or the Rams just run them right out of the stadium and blows them out. Either way, I still think 47 is attainable.
Sure. I'm not even gonna. That was. I don't know. When you talk about now, Tennessee is one-dimensional without Henry. Like it's so hard to predict. Yeah, I don't know.
It totally is, and we don't know. Like it's this is hard for a better because you don't know what's going to happen.
Correct.
Right?
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have touched that. That's where I am when I don't know. I don't touch it. I get what you're saying. The one thing. There's two things. First of all, I love the Arizona San Francisco game under because those two teams always play each other hard, no matter what their records are. Now, Arizona is by far the better team as long as Kyler Murray plays. If Colt McCoy has to take the reins, then it's not going to happen. And you've heard Cliff saying it's day to day, but is that just a mirage? Like, yeah, Kyler's going to play, plan for Kyler, and then hopefully giving them the plan to Kyler, and then Colt comes in at the last minute and they're not ready for that game plan. Like, I don't know if that's happening. I don't know, but that would be smart if they are planning on not playing him. Arizona is way far better with Kyler Murray. They're way better of a team, even with Kittle coming back, even with Gould coming back. Arizona's still a better team, but they always play each other tough, regardless of records. But without Murray there, I don't think they win this game. But with Murray there, they definitely do. So for Arizona State, I hope Murray is playing. But either way, it's going to be an under game. I agree with you there. Kansas City, here's the thing with Kansas City. Without, immunized Rodgers, whatever he is, if he was there, I take Green Bay in this game any day.
Yes.
Here's the problem, and this is why I didn't touch this game. When's the last time you see a Green Bay backup quarterback that's been actually there, sitting in the wings for a year, waiting to get his shot? When have they come in and done bad?
That's a great point.
I've never seen a Green Bay quarterback come in and be bad that's been drafted by Green Bay and waited in the wings and learned under the quarterback in front of him. Like, they always come in and do good. So that's where I get scared, especially with a terrible Kansas City right now. Like, Patrick Mahomes Kansas City's D is terrible. And I agree with that. However, Mahomes leads the league in interceptions.
Yes, he does.
It's not just the D that's terrible. And granted, because the offense is, the defense is not letting this stuff happen and they have to pass and to catch up. Yeah, okay, I'm not arguing, but there's still reasons. So, and that scares me a little bit. All right, let's move on to our prop bets. Our prop bets. Let's do it. Prop bets are random things. You're betting on people doing things, people passing or rushing or walking or whatever you think is going to happen. So I actually have 3 prop bets. My first one is Hurts over 49.5 rushing yards. That 24 is going to win me 20 once again. I've told you Hurts had 12 straight games with 30 or more rushing yards. And it's 30 or more because 2 games were like 30. One was 31 and one was 32. The rest were like 50 plus. So I'm taking my chances on that. I'll take 24 to win 20. Look, Josh Allen. My next one is Josh Allen over 2.5 passing touchdowns. You realize Josh Allen is playing against Josh Allen this week? I don't know if you realize that, but Josh Allen is playing against Josh Allen this week. So Josh Allen might sack Josh Allen this week. It could happen. But I'm saying that he's going to throw over the Josh Allen on Buffalo. He's going to throw over 2.5 passing touchdowns, and my 20 is going to win me 28. I'm staying on my Joe Burrow train, and once again, they have him throwing over 2.5 passing touchdowns. That 20 is going to win me 24. Once again, Burrow has thrown 3 straight games with 3 touchdown passes, and last year he did it twice against Cleveland. So I'm taking those 3. I'm betting 24, 20, and 20. I'm going to win 20, 28, 24. So I'm laying 64, and I'm getting back 72. I'm going to take that all day long.
Yeah, the Burrow bet is like just one of those. Just ride it, and see what happens. And all things are pointing toward him and Chase having a great day again. So why not do it again? And then we get into the strategies, right? Like, let's say you bet that 17 times. If you win it 13, you're ahead, right? So even if you lose at 4, you're still ahead. So I like all of these. I like them all. I My prop bets, I went with Derek Carr throwing for at least 308 yards against the Giants. That 11 would win me 12. If he throws his average for the season, his average for the season so far is 324 per game. If he throws a little bit
And
below
I
his
didn't like
average,
that. I didn't like that until you told me that, and now I'm all over it.
yeah, if he throws below his average, he'll hit it. I also like Houston under 20 and a half points this weekend against Miami. That $12 will win me 10. That game might be 9-6.
I
Um,
was just gonna say, I have Houston winning, and I still think Houston can win, and I can win my bet, and you can still win this bet of them having under 20 and
Holy
a half points.
smokes, this game is going to be so gross that I like that game might not even be on NFL Red Zone because like they may not get to the red zone. So that should be interesting. But if those win, I'll be like even money on my
That's very
prop bets.
true.
All right. So the last set of bets that
Yeah,
we're going to
I
talk about is the
agree. All right, our
pleasers.
last bet is pleasers. Remember, pleasers now. We go the opposite of teasers. Teasers, we took 6 points, took it in our favor. Pleasers, we're taking 6 points, and we're saying, take that off. I'll take another 6 points. I see your 6 points. I raise you 6 points. And I'm going to get minus 6 points. Now, because we do that, our odds go through the roof. Through the roof. So I have a two-team pleaser that $20 is going to win me 120. Now, once again, just to go back to how much odds go in our favor. I have a 5-team or 5-leg teaser, which is in my
Hmm.
favor. 5 legs, I had to bet $30 to win 126. Now I have 2 in my pleasers, and my 20 wins me 120. So way better money wise, but tougher to hit. And that's why it's better money wise. So I'm taking Buffalo minus 20 and a half. I think they might shut out their third team this year and shut out Jacksonville. So, and put up another 40 on them. So I see that happening. And then Dallas, I'm going to take Dallas minus 16. Like I said, they're too much of a scoring machine. Denver lost Von Miller, and he was their whole defensive front. So I just don't think it happens.
I kind of feel a little disrespected there because you're kind of disrespecting Malik Reed, former Nevada defensive lineman. But I agree with you because I don't think Denver can score that much. Like you said, Dallas has scored 35 or more in all their home games, and this is a home game. I like it, man. I like it. And Jacksonville's Jacksonville. They're just bad. So
Correct.
it is what it
Correct.
is. My
What are you doing? What are you pleasing?
Mine are a little bit closer as far as the spreads go. I took Cincinnati -7 against Cleveland. Um, if Joe Burrow has a really big day, I don't see any reason why this couldn't happen. I'm not impressed with Cleveland at all. I think they've jumped the shark. I think
Well, and
last
once again, we're taking air game versus run game because we think run game's going to neutralize. So I love that
yeah.
bet.
And then I took Atlanta over New Orleans, and now Atlanta's getting 6. When I put them on the pleaser, it now becomes a pick. So now they have to win. I'm not getting any more points. Atlanta's playing New Orleans. The reason why I like this game is because no Jameis. They're playing Trevor Simeon and Taysom Hill. And when you have two quarterbacks, you have none. So I like Atlanta to win on a late Young Hoo Koo field goal, and I will take my $120 and thank you very much.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. New Orleans is 26-12 against the spread when playing a divisional opponent, which is the best since 2015. So like you're not wrong, even though of that stat because that was with Drew Brees.
Mhm.
So even though there's that stat, you're not wrong. but I'm just pissed at Atlanta still from last week. Screw them. They screwed me all up.
Hey,
So
they're on my no trust list usually, so so it's kind of a stretch here for me to take them. But I going against a banged up New Orleans team, I like their chances.
I agree. If New Orleans was full strength, I think this would be harder. But now that they're banged up, no Jameis Winston, I think it's easy. All right. Last thing we like to do, we started this a couple weeks ago, and we've had fun with it. And so we want to keep it going. We give you our final four picks. These are fluid. What we think is the final four. It's too hard to say they're going to win the Super Bowl or they're going to be in the Super Bowl. We're going to go final four, kind of like college does. We're going to pick our final four, who we think is going to be the final four teams this year in the NFL. And you can actually bet these, but we're not doing this in a betting thing. We're just kind of throwing that out there because we have fun with it. So in the AFC, I have Buffalo and I have Baltimore. Okay. I had Tennessee, but once Henry's out, I don't care if they – I realize they're going to put Adrian Peterson out with his walker and try to have him run, but they're done. So I'm going back to the Baltimore train. If Henry was there, I still think Tennessee's the better team, but without him, they're not. In the NFC, I totally switched both my teams. I'm going with Dallas and the Rams. Now, I think Dallas is in the final four. And look, some people are saying it's going to be a Buffalo-Dallas Super Bowl, and that just as soon as you say that, like that gives me PTSD right there as a Bills fan. But it's hard to argue. Dallas looks pretty legit. Dak looks on fire this year. So I'm not going to take that. I'm putting the Rams in the only – I was going to put the Cardinals. The only reason I didn't put the Cardinals is I don't know if Murray's playing this week. And if Murray's not playing this week, that might screw up their standings, not have a bye. And, that could mess them up in the whole long run of scheme of things. So if Murray ends up playing this week, I would say I would have AZ over the Rams. If he doesn't, it's the Rams over AZ. And right now he's questionable. So the Rams are not. So I'm taking the Rams right now.
Solid. You can already tell by the moves they're making. The Rams are like win now.
Yep,
they want to win now, and so good for them. I think that's a solid pick right there.
What's your final four?
It's pretty much same as last week, except I took Tennessee out and put the Raiders in.
Excuse me.
Yeah, dude. This is all. Other than Buffalo, the Raiders are playing the best. They just are. And I'm not quite there yet with the Bengals, right? I think the Bengals are getting there. I really do. I think if the Raiders played the Bengals in the playoffs, it'd be a wonderful game to watch. I think the Raiders are better. I don't think they're Buffalo good, but I think they're better than everybody else. They beat the Ravens, so that's the main reason I took the Ravens out. My NFC is still Tampa Bay, Green Bay.
Yeah, it's hard to argue when you look at, once again, Tennessee is 6-2. They actually have the best record in the AFC. But now that we have Henry's gone, we both know that they're done. So now you got the 5-2 Ravens, you got the 5-3 Bengals, you got the 5-2 Raiders, and it could be any one of those. So it's hard to argue against Vegas or Baltimore or Cincy. Dallas 6-1, Green Bay 7-1, Tampa Bay 6-2, Arizona and the Rams are 7-1. All those can, you can make arguments for all of them. And Tampa Bay, I like your theory of it's Brady, and look what he did last year, and that's so hard to bet against. So I like that. Green Bay, they're going to be without Rodgers for 2 weeks, and that could mess up their standings, but that's not going to matter to Rodgers. Same thing is not going to matter to Brady. So you're not wrong.
If you put a gun to my head today, right, and said make a pick for the NFC Championship game, I'd say it's the same as last year, just Tampa this year instead of Green Bay. And until you get two teams that show me otherwise, I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say Bay and Bay.
The only thing I will say, and you know my feelings on them, but I still think Arizona's a better team than Green Bay. They should have won that game. And I think Arizona's going to be – but I've said it before, in the playoffs, especially that late in the playoffs, I'll take experience. So that could go either way. So, all right, I still like it, though. All right, guys, that concludes our Week 9 edition. I hope you have a great week. I hope you take home some money. Once again, we do not guarantee anything, but we do hope that you take down Vegas. Once again, this show was dedicated to Tina Tinter and her golden retriever Max. We are both dog lovers as well, so we make sure we want to throw him in there too. But this is for Tina. And we hope you guys all have a great weekend. Enjoy, everybody. We love you. Please subscribe, like, share, tell everybody about us. Get us going. Have a great week, guys.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.